yata. But then the water, Homage wake up Sumbuda. Oh, Caste. Kunzu Tini Shoya Kabu Tiajurbas. Nambeja within a Jang Baye. Dundun Darne Kivelungi should have Jay and the Jasu for the short rose. Kunzu Tinis. Kunzu Tension Revolution, Kunzu Samdo. The Tunga changes same jay. No, Tunga Java. La Soba Sama. Yore. Do you do? Kunzu Latembe. Jambata Niji, Janju Semla Soba. Jimba Padu Simbola Soba, Jachi Lamjirimbade, and it's Shoba Chikti Sigara. Tini, said Kunzu Tini, Shoyakawa. The Conan you talk by. When you move it, Sawa, never songege, Ponji tap, Bombanito with Shira. Shotam Jig, the Conan Nelu Taduto with Shira. Oh, they Shoba Chikche. Sabe Samulam Jirimbaki. Shoba Chikche. Shoba Nidan Dambachi. Kunzu Tini Shoyaka with Jajur what is Shoba Nibu the Jabal Tennis, Gora? Mongbe Jabu Tenese, Pinangamba, Tesu, Pundu to say chicken got the teacher, taking near teacher, and Shoba Janche, Shuta Chik Sola Soba Gage party to Yora. Oh, dinner she. Kunzu Jache, Yana. Samuel Lambda, Jachu Lambirimbe, Shobani Latene, Geshe Yeshe Sympathizo, Sanji Sabado, Travis Serious, or Tisungdo. Lambeke within giving by Dundun Darne, gave a longish shoot of kiss. Oh, did Tapton Shiram Nilatembe, gave a long la soba. Oh, did Tohiene, Jayun the party, Jayun the Jasu party short and rose. Nishira party, Chimba, Seva party, Chimbala soba. Sanjay Saipat and do this, Sungda.
So here the Chandrakirti stated in his entrance or supplement to the middle way, spreading the broad white wings of reality and conventionality, the royal geese, escorted by the flock of living beings, fly on the winds of virtue to supremacy, on the far shore of a Buddha's ocean-like qualities. So here, conventionality refers to various realizations, such as understanding all things as all the nature of all contaminated things to be suffering, and then generating the determination to leave the determination to be free of cyclic existence and suffering, and then the altruistic spirit of enlightenment and so forth. All these kinds of virtues are included in conventionality. Then reality is referring to the profound wisdom that knows that all phenomena are empty of any kind of existence from their own side. So then, based on these, then those who practice these, the bodhisattvas, then are like royal geese. That means there's one goose that's at the head of the flock, and then everybody else is as if all the other geese are as if escorting him. So the royal geese, escorted by the flock of living beings, fly on the winds of virtue to supremacy. The winds of virtue then is talking about combining both these the virtues of both reality and conventionality, and then fly to the winds of virtue to supremacy on the far shore of a Buddha's ocean-like qualities. So then, based on these, then the Bodhisattva reaches the high state of a Buddha.
No, oh, the Induka Sora. Kunzu Tenshin Revolution, Kunzu Kinawasamdo, and the Simja Yore, Tunge Nyawa Yore, oh, Tunge the Treva Yore, oh, Tunge Kudan Jebu, Tunge the Treve Kudan Jebu, oh, there's some times Yeza, and the Kosimjan maybe in Yingshi, Tunge the Trend, Dawa Don Tom de Chamba, and Yiri maybe Tanyum. Oh, Simja Kanda Kanga Dewa Tobiana, oh, Dewa de Mandrena, some Kawakomia Kawachame, oh, Tendeletene, and Simba Sudimless Obalzone, Tabicha, Sambuchade, Konde Kondoya Bene, Bene, Joke Chida, oh, Dinashia, now no she demba marese. Now I'll attention to what was the Chachirungune, now on Tardu demba mare. You rang him when to your marathon barriers, Kunyamogi, Sawa the Palmer, Sinyamo, Doya Shadow, and rang when it to be Tomba Chutamje, Simje, San Tarba, Bunge, Tewa Karina, Da, Shen, rang when it to be Tombares. Now, Nashing as you told Nation Demba Maring, as you told you, rang when ever to be ordered. The Nation Demba Marese, Bomba Convechane, and your motors march to Tanche. Oh, the top that should have me, Shopata with me, Letane, and Sanjeji, Sukuta, Chukutus Tokuyara.
So we have conventionality here, referring to all those dependent arisings, because they are dependent arisings, because all things are dependent arisings, then suffering exists, freedom from suffering exists, and we can also generate all other types of virtues, and then reality here means that everything doesn't exist as it appears to exist. It appears to us to exist from its own side. So, in reality, it doesn't at all exist from its own side. It's empty of existing from its own side. Everything is empty of existing from its own side. So then the wisdom that knows this, this emptiness, then is the countermeasure for all the afflictions. So then the Bodhisattva is doing both of these, working on both the conventional and the ultimate. You can see the ultimate for that, but here we're saying reality.
Oh, the Duku Kasura. Tombani Samlutandu, Shukarina, Rangwin, Simje, Nasoba, Tatishan, Rangwin, Tribute, Tomba Residu, Tomba Samlutandu, Aleko, Sida Simje, Tension Revolution, some Simje, Tungeda, Tusupa, Kanduna, and the Tabjichade, near New York. Oh, Tindu, Tomba Samlutandu, Tabjicha, oh. Jimba Sudim Ningila Soba, Gunzula Tembe, Tabji Shaduzula, many of Chikuyardo.
Right. So when we're meditating on the lack of inherent existence, then we're it really harms or damages the method side, or conventionality, all those dependent arisings, then those things like suffering and compassion and so forth, from the viewpoint of cultivating them from the viewpoint of cultivating them as being empty of any kind of existence from their own side, then those two, that is then, we can say, damages that I don't know what a better word would be, but damages, or somehow, maybe you could even put in refute here or something like that.
Yeah, because simje dunge ji narwa da. Oh, today some time no no shi, marazu no no shi. Rangwine simje nga she dunge ji narwa se rangwine yoba. Oh, tele ne. No no shi temper use some rangwine yore sabena. Odia Bangbanyi tele ne do yora. Demene was go yora. Tension driver jo samdo. Simje da dunge da trawa da dunge nyo da kanga. Yore sam. Ina yuji ngene yo ma re sam. O di ni ga nyamdo. So much go yora.
So then if we are thinking that living beings and are in their suffering and freedom from suffering or some and so forth somehow exists from their own side, then this damages or harms our wisdom that cognizes emptiness. So then we have to understand that these don't have any existence from their own side. They don't exist the way they appear to exist.
Rangwine tongbare de, rangwine tongbare, tamba tongbare de, kunzubechu pe meva marese. Oh, kunzubechu yore de, no nangshinje ne tembare yo mares tongbasi. Oh, di madochi tongbare de kunzubechu kando, kunzubechu yore de tongbade mevre ndoina. Ko tabde shiram nibudi chikchil ngere do yora. Oh, tabde shiram nibudi chikchil tol do ra. Rangune tongba samlutandu chambanyi ji zawa pelge. Chambanyi ji de samlutandu rangune do tongba la pa pelge. Tabde shiram ni chikchil tol so do asko yora. Oh, di dendalia tongba yina pe meba mare sungete. Denjre ba chunga samle shagure so ti song yora.
So then Tsongkhapa then said that if we think about both, well, for the sake of brevity, maybe ultimate truths and conventional truths in this way, where the one is damaging the other, then that is not the way to cultivate the two. We have to cultivate them so that they are mutually beneficial, that the one helps the other, or they assist each other, and so then we have to see that although conventional truths, we're talking about like suffering and the lack of suffering and compassion, love, these conventional truths, then they simply don't exist the way they appear to exist. It's not that they don't exist or they completely don't exist. So so he made this important distinction.
Oh yeah, ko shi namsha tel pabdu. Pa yinandra, shen yinandra, dewa dunga karina. Shi namsha tel pabdu sa. Tenje dewa junga samdo, kunzu samdo, tanya samdo, chawa runga chiche. Tene ya, tenje dewa junga samdo, chawa rungi yona ya. Rangwine trube suje, chawa yuwa ma rese. Rangwine trube suje, pongba rese. Shi namsha tel pabdu, shi kurang tendo, nezu tela ni tel pabdu yora. Tata simjela soba ngarasul nawa nashi soba la tenji del su nawa nashi ako chawa chi titu nyong kwa koro chi denge chi nang de yora 어디 군습된 바레스 먼저 나와는 시딱다 요 말에 증바레스 군습된 바데 나와는 요 말되고 유주 내가 증게지 요 레스 그러나 좀 멜로나 제신 숙녀데 소소동 인바르지 아카야 단디 공동르지 요르지 나그라 숙녀데 쓰기다 나와는 요 말와 제신 숙녀 제신도 나게와라 이나고 가도 요리 벼로 다 텐데 지기 얼삼지 통해들 내가 증게지 도하고 어디 나시 군주베 취ete 나와 따르도 템바 말이 증바레 그러다 말에 이나고 자와 증게지 요레스 군주 템바데 남샤시게와라
So then, in order to present conventional truths, then Je Tsongkhapa said that we have to present them as dependent arisings. As dependent arisings, then they function. And they just are false in the way that they appear to us. They appear in a false way. It's very similar to the image, or we can say reflection of your face in the mirror. It's not a real face. Looks like a face. It looks like a real face, but not a real face. It's falsely appearing as a real face, but then it still has form, and we can still what do you say, engage with it, and so that it functions as the reflection in the mirror functions, and gives rise to effects. As a cause, it gives rise to effects. So it's functioning, and but it doesn't. It appears to exist. Well, we're not talking about things that dependent arisings, what do you say, conventional truths then appear to exist from their own side, but actually do not exist. So it's that has that false appearance.
Oh yeah, teacher, that kunzup temperature so. Dayina de kunzup temperature nawa na shi rangu ne tongbare sidu dondambe tongbare shaku yora. Rangu ne tongbare chukari ne ya. Da shi simjen da dunge kari ne ya. Naranzu tongdu rangu ne yobashi tonggu yora. Oh, di tonggu yora di nangshi yora mari ne lega chingeji yora songra. Oh da rangu ne druba tonga nangshi yora mari So then,
to understand the ultimate truths, then we have to understand them, that whether it's oneself, or other sentient beings, or the thing, or various objects in our experience, all of these things don't have any existence from their own side. Although they appear to exist from their own side, they completely lack any existence from their own side. So then we say they're empty of existing from their own side, and so this gets rid of somehow thinking that dependent arisings exist from their own side.
That's right. Oh yeah, they go Rangune Tongbatelia, Sudabjina, Simjen Dejina, Rangune Tongbatelia, Simjen Tension Deverjo, Simje Shagura, Su Shagura. Oh, Tension Deverjo Sudela, Rangune Tongba Shagura. What do you do? Shironi book up so Tongba was so Rangune Tombare. Tongbani Susos, Rangune Tribe Tongbatelia, Su Shagures. Sule Tongbani Shamayes. Rangune Tribe Sule. Rangune tribe tongbase pe logaji yamare. Sule tongba tongbani leja rangune tribe tongbatele 배고 다데베 수요 말에 수고라 랑윈에 주베 동바 랑윈에 주베 동베 수라 수샤고 해서 거도 와.
So then, given that, then the Heart Sutra says form is emptiness. So that means we have to establish that dependent arisings lack any kind of existence from their own side. And then emptiness as form means that things that are, although they lack inherent existence, or existence from their own side, they are dependent arisings, functioning dependent arisings. Then dombani suk domba dombani sukso sukle dombani shenmayen yang jason.
Sule tenji de verjo sule rangune tube tongba sedbe losu mar koran rangune tube tongba ro.
Right.
Oh, rangune tube tongba tele ya su sha ko ra.
Right.
Tongba ni le su shen ma des rangune tube tongba tele su sha ko ra.
Right. So then I forget how you translated it in here, but emptiness is not other than form, so that you can't establish some ultimate truth or that's somehow separate from the form or the dependent arising, and also form also is not other than emptiness, means that there's not something that exists totally separate from emptiness that is form or dependent arising.
No, that chukharine tietendo maranzula nawananshi nganzungusumla nawananshi nengenge chutuzule kunzu sigara zumba sigara nganzungusumla nawananshi dambayo mare yinako lega chenge shawa chenge yore shagudwa.
Right. So then we have to establish that all the forms and so forth that appear to us don't exist the way they appear to exist, that they're false, yet they are, they still function. Okay.
Ta rangwene tongbade chudega rang nganzul langde chude rangwene tongbade ene tendambe temba sigora tengu sumtu sigbe phagbe kansa ke ngusumtu sigora o rangwene tongbade ngusumtu sigbe sheba de ngolya ko nawana shi demba rede yore te sonza dembas tendam demba de la dembas kunzu demba de la zumba sigora.
So then these forms and so forth that appear to us are completely empty of existing from their own side. They do not exist from their own side, and so then that establishes their ultimate truth, and then it's the noble ones who then are able to directly see this ultimate truth, and so it's from their perspective then that we say ultimate truths are well, the emptinesses are ultimate truths, and then from their perspective we say that conventional truths are false.
Tongbani de la dembas equate, Tongbani Musum to Tonga Shebengola, no one I should dembasonza dembas. Love data.
So then to reiterate, they are truths, then the ultimate truths are truths from the perspective of a noble being who's in meditative equipoise on emptiness.
Kunzu Bechodozo. 마란중musum de tonanashi rangwine tuba tongyare tonanashi demba meza zumbas.
And then conventional truths and how we how we directly see them. We directly see them as what do you say, existing from their own side. All conventional truths then are false, and therefore we say conventional truth. But they're false, right?
Oh yeah. The Caste says, Caste Zumbas, Zumbare pay your Marco Zumbasic to us, Tindemaris, and now and she, Dr. Musum, now and she, Dr. Meza, Zumbas, Labi or Marco. That Mavikash Maristic or water.
So it's important to understand that when we say false, we're not saying that that false means that they don't exist at all. Okay, that false simply means that they don't exist the way they appear to exist from their own side.
Oh yeah, what did you do? She namsha shedune. Kunzuk dembata turned them at Tembanigadi. Chikichil never much ever says, Chikichi drops or Niga shooting the shot of Shkuyora. Did you shit them by Yesigua?
So then we call this the basis of the two truths. And what this means is that we have to be able to posit them or establish them, maybe is better to establish that they are compatible, that the one helps the other, they're mutually beneficial.
Oh, she then by Namshadi, Manyambasia, which is Shatuna, and a lamb tapsi Nisgera. Oh, Kunzula Chavaching Tunga or Tunga the Java or Sunday, and the Turkey Chato to Shatugiora. Oh, then it Tomba Sonza called Rangwin, Tomba Sonza, Namjung as a Yamoki at the Rangwin, Yogan Zimba Yunguza, Yamus have a Tomba de Yunguara. Lam Tapsi Ni said. She then by Namshadi Abushana, and the Tap. Simja Dunga Naro Dunga the Java the Chamba the Nijasero, Chimba Sudim Sero, Shatugiora. Oh, this was any Tomba there, Rangwin, Tomba Sonza Shirap, Yamu says, Mishiba Moba says, Tomba to be Shirap de Shatune. Lam Tapsi Nise, oh, the Shatugiora.
So then, based on your being able to establish these two truths in that way, then we can establish the paths, okay? The paths, in this case, would be paths that are dependent upon these two truths. So you can establish that suffering and freedom from suffering and compassion for others and the ability to free them from suffering and so forth exist and then function, and then you can establish that all the afflictions are based upon all the afflictions can be overcome by this knowledge that they lack any that there is no existence from its own side. So these two, if you can see them as compatible, then the two of them you can cultivate the two of them on the path. Maybe we could say it that way. So then, talking about a path where the two truths, ultimate truths and conventional truths, are compatible. They're not contradictory. They're not contrary to each other. Yeah, so we're talking about method and wisdom, the path of method and wisdom. That they're compatible with each other, method and wisdom.
Oh yeah, she dembanya lam tabshin jebu kuni sigara. Tini gombala tene ya dosona, and jebu kuni to yugada. Chuguta suku set yugada.
So then, based on cultivating this path of the two method, of both method and wisdom. Then by cultivating method, one attains the Rupakaya, or means the form body of a Buddha. And then by cultivating the wisdom, then we attain the truth body, we say, or Dharmakaya of the Buddha.
Oh yeah, oh the Indu. Tongbato dusa, Ramune Tongbato Watege, Nemo Sandu Yore, Shidi Mishiba Momba Satu Yora. Oh, this Sandu in a Namji, Mishiba Momba Satu, Chutamji Kimbe Namjeta, and Shidi Nemo Sebe Chadela, Gogde, Minebe Yangdeti Gora. Such Chugudilla, Ishichugutan, Oni Kusini Gudwa. Tongbani Combaltene. Don't be Tongbani Combaltene, Shirab the Gom the 100, Mishiba Moda, Mishiba Mombani with the Sandu Yora. Oh, this Sabatelia, Giovanni Bangbe Bambatella, Moni Gusigora. Sanjay Sem to Giovanni Sebe Seba, Bangbe Bambatella, Moni Gusera, Roshinam Dagsaju Moni. Luburnam Dagsaju Moni Gusigora. Oh, Dennis. Sheja Tamje Kembe Kembatelia, Ishichugu Sigua. Mishiba Momba said, Tamje Kengiora. Do so. Tunda Tombaneto at the game, your more than Mishiba Momba Sabe, Chachituguare, the Minevian de Sigora, or T. Monikura. And some Jimmy Numobada, Mishiba Momba Tagbe, Tamje Kembe Ishichuguara, or Delia Ishichugu Sigara.
Nature body, and now we're talking about two ways of looking at the truth body as nature body and I don't know, sublime wisdom body, maybe we could say. So then, or the sublime wisdom or sublime truth body, maybe, or something like that. Then, so when we the difference between how these are distinguished is then the nature body is the elimination of both the, if you want to call them, obstructions to liberation and obstructions to obstructions to omniscience, or you call them the as I usually do is the both the afflictive and cognitive obscurations. Use the word obscuration. So when you eliminate those, then it's called the non-abiding nirvana, and that is embodied by this we're calling it a nature body, and then so that elimination is the nature body. Then, upon that elimination, then one attains a knowledge of all things, omniscience. So then the omniscience is what is called, what is known as the, what did I say, sublime truth body, maybe? We'll try that, but it's really sublime wisdom body, maybe we like that. Geshe Chugu. Oh, so it's sublime wisdom truth body.
So
that's just the meaning of it. Is you could just substitute another word, a synonym for it would be omniscience.
Oh,
so it's just this factor of elimination of those two obscurations, the cognitive and afflictive and cognitive obscurations. That factor of elimination then is known as the nature body, but in particular the nature body that's called the what do I say? I'm trying to think of the word. Adventitious. Yeah, adventitious nature body just means. Some people call it like I don't know. Loberdu, than another
namdagi ngoni lubur ki tema nyomo da shidip di lubur warwa di tagbe pangbe lubur namdagi
namda. Yeah, so it's like a what it means here, Adventitious, is means that these two obscurations are superficial. They're not in the nature of the body, of the nature of the mind. So then it's talking about a purity, that is, you're purifying of yourself of these temporary, adventitious obscurations. They're not then superficial. They're not within the nature of the body, of the mind. Sorry.
That karishe deosna lam tabshi ni shemba. Shirab dege ene kom biadude mishibe mongba dane nyemo da mishibe mongba dane shija tamje sheba de yungu yore se yore tanda. Shirab de kom ne nyemo da mishibe mongba de pa da. And so
what's being pointed out here is that if you cultivate wisdom, okay, we're talking about the path of wisdom and method. If you cultivate wisdom and refine it, finally what happens is that you completely eliminate ignorance or ignorance and confusion. So they're completely gone, and so then that's the result. You have this truth body.
Oh yeah. Tabda shirab nigna tabdigas yuarda. Chambada nigjidan sangbuchak chimbada sebala soba kombatigas yuara. And sanje ki suku. So then, from the
viewpoint of method, by cultivating virtues, then, such as ethical discipline, generosity, compassion, and love, and so forth, all those good things is a literal translation. All those good things, things that are goodness, that are goodness. Then, as a result of all those, bringing those to their ultimate state, then you have this form body of the Buddha.
Yakuja Namshat Joshe Skogara. Oh, dear Joshe, Tabden Shirab Nibudi, Yakuja Lam Nibudi Yakuja to Guara. Oh, Tabda Shirab Lam Nibudi Yakuja to Delatene, and Sukuda Shuku Nibudi to Guara.
So then, if we back up, it's all based on this ability to properly present both conventional and ultimate truths as being mutually beneficial. Then, based on that, you'll be able to cultivate a path of both method and wisdom. And then, based on this path of method and wisdom, you'll attain both the form and the truth body of a Buddha.
Oh yeah, Tatundako, Morazuinadako, Sangbuddha. Chambani Jilla Soba Shambangi Samlu Sangbu Deta, and so she Nezushi, Shirab Nibudi, Kone Kondu Yapevaletene, and a Tabda Shirab Kone Kondupene, Sangye Budwa, no Sangi Komatogores.
So then we have to then apply it to ourselves. Think that I have to then cultivate this, all the virtues of as one factor, and then I have to cultivate also along with those knowledge wisdom, and so then by cultivating both of these from high to higher, then I will be able to reach the state of a Buddha.
No, Tatunda 말아서 churches the court, watching the church and Karchana. Shambang is some low song with it, some sound down good, some billion day. At the Yam do Shen, Shije, Rigbenet, Dongbany, Veshid of Yutsumbe, Shije, Rigbenet, Alasoba, Champagne, Trubale, Koyage, Danyamo, Shiege, and the Shirab Gicha Kone on the Pekoda. Oh, they Shen Chertan, Kazina. Tobache, Sambache, Shen Chertan, Sanrutan, Tiadon, and Sangero.
So if you look at it from another perspective, then what we're aspiring to do is to develop virtue, just so that we become more and more virtuous. We're developing attitudes like love, compassion, and so forth, so that we become more and more purely virtuous. And then from the wisdom side, we're cultivating to understand through the depth of our wisdom or understanding to completely eliminate all the afflictions that then are preventing us from these these attitudes, these virtuous attitudes that are motivated towards only helping others. So if you work those two together, then that's the path towards our becoming a Buddha.
Oh, that she then by Niki, Namshaya Boji Shembalatene, Lam Tapshin Yam Lady Chung, Lam Tapshin Yandu Yamsun Lambalatene, and the Chusuji Kunit and Dembe, Sanji Kova Toba Chagueve, and the she then by Niki Namsha Shebe Shunglia, and it should tell Toba Sambachi Yambe, Gulu set up December shoes.
So then we should make a good motivation to come to understand both of the compatibility of both the method side, or we can say, method and wisdom, and then cultivate those as a path, such that then we attain Buddhahood. So then we're going to listen to and reflect upon and meditate on these teachings for that purpose.
No. Oh, demand Sholoka, Junga de Mare.
So we're on the verse 90, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that is. Look at Angela. See, see, look at Angela, and it did summer Jenny. And Jigdale, Pohame Batambanis order. Ngome Gabutu Siora, Gabong Gabutu, look at Danger Summer Jenny, and then Jigdale Lebar Young Batesiora. This one's a look at Danger to the Summer Chegu race, and look at Danger to the Kanga Summer Chegu Mares Yagdua.
So then, if we look on page 312,
never your matters, look at Danger Kanga Summer, never your matters.
We can see that the topic that we're covering with this verse is showing that the happiness of the people is not assured by taking social treatises to be valid. Here, the assertion then on page 124 is, because past kings who took these social treatises to be valid looked after their people well, these treatises must be valid. Well, it's not that they then have to be valid, that some of them are valid and some of them aren't. Well.
Oh, that see can look transit some ship danger the summer journey, and in Jigdelia, the one you are that did you never get your mares.
So the commentary says it is not certain that people will be happy by following these social treatises. Well.
Oh, Nargi Sada Kenam Gesido, Jigden Buddha Jamba, Tangema, Geva Sanga Kablia, Yan Gabungashi, Kuluki, Gabula Soba, the Daga, Shanlet Sawa Mabashe, Chamba the Sawan Bashi Kone, see can get into your race or Marji Sada Gavasiduza, and Karsore, Kuluki, Gabula Soba, Mume Sada Gabu to Sigara, Gabu Sambunam Jisua, and Jigdam was a Putari, Jangba, Jangi or Resora, the Daga, Deshi Gaba. Chetugi or Resora, Marji Sada Kenam Jim Putter Jangbate, Sudi Chola Tenam Gay, Tensan Rida Gumbachata, Tensan Treve Tugi, Tensan Tuning Metugi, Gabu de Zugesiora, no number Namge, Ne Tensangi Teneka Sure, or no Jigneto Zulupa, Magduja, the Tendichan, and the Jigneto Zukanga, Tongdon, the Rida de Sage, Neneshi. Sugio Resiora, Jangbate, Casore, Tensan Ridagi, Combatar, Jigden, Tombarchebe, Chodan Metumbe, Tenju Sama Menose, or the Magdu Jefchis, Lumbatong Jotaza, and then the Chodan Metumba, take a Tendechebade, Tenju to the Samazingo Mare Sigora.
So, the verse 90 reads, virtuous rulers of the past protected the children, the people like their children. Through the practices of this time of strife, it is now like a waste without wildlife. So it's true that there were virtuous rulers who had great amount of compassion and love for their people, and these were such monarchs as the universal monarch and other great rulers of the past, and so there were such there were people happy under these rulers, but nowadays the time is called the time of strife. That's part of what a larger period of time called the time of degeneration. So then here, in this time, then they're making wars and so forth, and so then it's more like what they've reduced their worlds to is like a wasteland without wildlife.
Moya, tapedere pena la kumbe pishin mamimba. Sravasti no se, Pushin Puram Gishing Sigara, Pushin Sigara, Puram Gishing to the co means on an it's in a co Jedi Tunguardo. Or the co Hamago get to the Pushin the sea race and the Pushin, Mima Mima Devish, Chambakorandi, seen any court in Yomarwa, or the nation race Yora, or Meshibe Wange, Sikanda Nornet in the younger set.
So it's clear then that these social treatises aren't necessarily going to make everybody happy. It's just like the example is of a barbarian thief who stole sugarcane, but he didn't know that it was unripened. So then he tried to press it to get the juice out, and there was no. There was, of course, no juice. So it's just the same with how we relate to these social treatises.
No, Tandi Karshekosana, Kabulu Tenju Nalia, and Shandalia, and then never Chebe Kabla Barsona, Tala Soba Tezuko, Chombala Soba, or Tendechana, Kabula Chu Mimba Mare, and it travel Sawachana Chures, Shegi or the audit, Demba Mares, Lungumares.
So then there's an assertion here, treatises state that it is not irreligious. Or maybe to say that it is a dharma activity, even if a king harms his enemies when occasions to do so arise. Wow.
Oh, then this one. Look at this. Last one, be Gabola Sigdo. Get it, Digba Yemenase. Oh, Gabonga Shigitine. Kumal Soba Lumbena Liagum get to Zulpa Sigurda, Tarab to Zulpa, Miriba Chenico, Socheval Soba to the Tibachev in Asugara, the Digba Marichus and Durisana, last and then Gabola get it, Digba Yemena, mi se ba la so ba te de ba me na si go ra kumbu shen nam la ya te tang bu ni du ye ma ye se ane kuma kunge la so ba ko zo be mi se je di che ne ke bu lu tim tum ge ge ane kuma kunge mi se ge tu zo le de ba yung ma re si go ra je ma ge bo ko mi se ge kuma kunge tu che ba che de ba me na tang bu ko zo kuma kunge tu zo le de ba yung ma re si go ra no
then so the verse reads, if a king who seizes the occasion to harm is not doing wrong, then others too, such as thieves, have not done so in the first place. So then the idea here is that the king is harming by punishing those who are thieves or going to war with enemies and so forth. So if that's not doing wrong, then thieves that have been put in prison and so forth and punished and so forth that have not done anything wrong at all. Okay, if the king is not doing wrong, then all thieves are not doing wrong.
뭐야 다 빼더라도 배나 lumbu 가지게 개부 시와다 개부 슈노 세제 라니 게게시 소에 디치르 면도바 동아 중하시는 수도 배나 lumbu 치와 버텔 개부데 나부인 버라 당아시 소는 게 빈자네 슈노 마팜싱게 슈원 버라 어디 개부를 거쇼 아슬라인 버 콜랑아리 아부체 아니 그 슬라브 개부시 사데 디 슈누 마팜생게 개베르데 파세제 쿠라게 아부체샤레 어디 제시데는 거 메디 아부체 마슬럼부터세 쳔델레 잡광엠바 겨치마 디메 개부세사 녜송라 소바 도분바시 중원에 시레스가 디나시 데슬라 네가다 단다 민엠바 마음바나 동행녀 조 그레스가라
so the example here is when a king died, a certain minister killed the young prince and appropriated the kingship himself, which brought him many unwarranted consequences. Having seized the opportunity to do harm, he had he had a bad reputation in this life, and then also because of his destructive karma, he also took a unfortunate rebirth in his next life. Then why would kings who seize opportunities to harm not be wrongdoers and infamous too?
ane tele tene be mimang busene gebul gega tomne ane be gebu kabuche tomna ane te karsore yunguru soso shiwala soba tezu kanga dendrol gendu grese tourism do gre te sonda yu ma gyalia kawar jawa regrese lugu tenju shebade rikma res yegdwa
so the assertion, the next verse is by defeating the enemy in battle, one acquires wealth and pleases the king. And if one dies for him in battle, one will go to a higher rebirth, or a high rebirth. Therefore, a king should take pleasure in warfare, just like it says in the social treatises.
창소 달란 독바 군스거다 창통하다 아니 개 재무전에 배샤망부샤네 재무제 여러와 견부다 아니 범에서지 된도 랑게 롱주 상마 땅오 된데 제바 이나스거라 어디 기부 담바 삼로 땅신게 되죠 예배 쳐바 마레스거라 가와게바 마레세 오 디나신스거라 오 가와게바 마레스는 마레세 대신도 아니 개베 된다리야 유응어 마geb세 ngambene to shenda se ra ko le tan ne cheba yena de mi samlu tan shinge so kibu tan ba so nyebe cheba ndugu mare la ane de ka thuri so kebe gyula ndugu mare shegdo
so if giving, the verse says, verse 92 reads, if giving all one has for liquor and so on is not an offering, why consider it an offering to give oneself in battle? So if giving everyone everything that you have for the sake of, just throwing away your money, drinking and gambling and enjoying yourself with the opposite sex is not an offering, then why is it why would let's say it's not an offering means that it's something that would be pleasing to the excellent higher, somebody who really knows, and it's also non-virtuous, then why consider giving away one's life in battle out of what do you say, an offering to please the excellent? Of course, it's not pleasing to the excellent, and also as a result, one will not be able to take a good, fortunate rebirth, but will end up in an unfortunate rebirth.
Oh yeah, that pedal no sim Kyobola, Luton Bashino Segetua. Oh, did it? They got solution. Some jet from getting the Yorba. Oh, then they Rangi. Magbashida Pomushu and Bura, Pomudegis were Gyobusudu, Rangi Choge Pabatella Gyobusara, Rangi Choge Palatelia, Luton Bashino Sigua, or that they call Lujura, they did Sigua, or Songe Michu and Baratico, Shanda Tarumbush Drogu Yada. Drogo de Nekimede Lavje Palalia, Shabji Abushu Asje, Lavje Shimbimbre. Boge Pal, Choga de Medu Palaliaco. Homage Tunju Jambre. Then it Sule de Papa de Odakana, Kimedi Yawudunga, Tunju Chigdunga, Dende Chaman, I can sell Degmesh and then to win Slamber. I did love this Chaman to do any Choga de Otakana, Yawushem, the Tindation, Kerang and Aldemogo, Malababa Kugu, Kerang Gugume. Teneke, Taya, which you ask, Papa Loquese, Kangate, Ebe Shabji, I wish you. Kalatu Yabute, Chaka was some much is like a Kalekabukari in a chi ase. Chinka was some much in slime, but Taya Kalekabu, but some much slime, but then Bowish Yabushida Shuja, and Echo Shada Chambucha, Echo that Chaka or Kangachi said, oh, Papa Nyamdo Degu or Samje, and the Ludenja Papa Nyamdo. Georgia drawing better. Oh, they Papa comes to Tamanga, Nana Pia, Bull Lapjanga Pia, Tapsi Chigisa, Papa comes to say, Kyokazi has him there. And I get on book it and the Chaka or Kangachi, Chinka or Kangachi, thing until I have a Chaka or the Chinka came message lying better. Oh, the Neko Papa de Madev, or that can I do is the Papa version better, Lumbash Shandas and Rode. They put it on this. Buddha Kabaga does Rosale. Then the Garja was a Luju Kangalai, but not the art I took Barese. That young Almonga, Papa Ketago say, Cob Melia, catching between the missing and Papa Lukuva, more people is it.
This is a story about a shepherd's wife and her father-in-law. Shepherd is maybe. Well, the story is that the shepherd, if we want to call him a shepherd, was really going to market. He left, and during that time, his wife was very rude to I guess kind of despised his father, or her father-in-law. So then, when he returned, then the father said, "Oh, if she treats me like that, I'm going to leave." And so then the shepherd talked to his wife and said, "Look, my father is very important to me. You have to, I'd rather have him than you. So why? So you have to treat my father really well and be very respectful." And then he said this one thing: "You must do for him what is hardest to do, and give him what is hardest to give. And so she just really, when he went away the next time to market, then she just was so respectful and did everything for him. And finally, she even took off all her clothes and offered herself to him. And he was like, oh. And then the father-in-law just said, oh, now you're trying to get rid of me. If I ever did something like that, my son would throw me out. So then he got really upset, and then he left. so then when she took it a little too literally here. So then, anyway, when the husband returned and he found his father gone, he said, what did you do? And she explained the whole thing. And then she said, and so finally I did that. And he goes, you did what? You idiot. She just, he didn't want to have anything to do with her, and went and found his father and brought his father back and kicked her out. Oh well. That's just in those days that not everybody was educated, so she just took what he said very literally.
Kawa regres na de jigdan tamjen gwem kebol kaya ke yo mari kebu de kyoa jibe shires ti shek do ande.
So in this next verse then I guess maybe you'd have to, Tesla wasn't specifying the wife, he was saying both of them weren't very educated, so sorry about that. My interpretation. So then it is, let's see, inappropriate for the king to feel distressed. Well, it is unreasonable to like being a king, because a king is the guardian of all his people.
Oh yeah. Kebu jigden gwen chola, gwen ga yoba mayena, gwen ye de dangi ne, madan sushi kawar jusikdwa. Oh, Jebu ne jigden tamje jingwen be, ane de cheso tembale mirik bapane. Rigbe lamla jugo si kebu chola cheso dombe mirikbe lam dozo pande rigbe lamla jugo rese kebu chola ya ne cheso domge lamgen ki yakbuche yang dakba lamgen ki gwen ge yo ma rese wara o yo ba maybe ane gwen me ba rese o tisonga gwen me ba ne ba yimbe cheba ranye du kyose soso karitana tichier mado labje sangbu jange yo ma rese wara domba boda teve labje domgen de teve Gwenye toba te danyi ne nge songe tunge gyu madanshi sunwa yena Geshe tobe chishi kawan yudi kawan meriso kera nge son dwe le sa de gyore Geshe toba lo kaju karyore kyoa ki shire sikdo.
So here's the assertion then is again it is reasonable to like being a king, because a king is the guardian of all his people. Here, you the king, guardian of the people, have no guardian yourself. Since your guardianship does not release you, who would be happy? So then the king is the guardian of the people in the sense that when he asks them to do something, to give up unsuitable activities and engage in suitable ones, they do it. So in that way, he acts as guardian, but he himself has no guardian or no protector, in the sense that he has like no mentor who's going to tell him what to do or not to do, and so he just does whatever he wants. And in that case, then he often does things that the causes of suffering, and as a result of those would take an unfortunate rebirth. So So then who would be happy to be a king, really? It's not reasonable to be happy to be a king.
Adelia ko ngebe loksu chane laba kenshu nimachi chuzuchi kamachi kenshu yuna shamba de kemba de cha cha gura laba kemba resi timmanga sunga resi cha cha gura
shogene
shogege mare laba kemba de ya ko kelon tumne kizu tumne nimachi ngeli ne chuzuchi ngeli yuna saba de kemba de lenji meji kushepje cha cha gura oh desu gura tande ko kelon de shida chida yunde shida chamene sosu ge kelon sigdo Ekoliachi laba kemba sonza kengo chane keno shenda kushep de chane kahuyungu ara o dinashi jebula shenda kushep chebede ko kawache ba samrese ngo shenda ne ke yo marese go
so it's the example here, as I had to be careful in this example, that a senior monk without a superior enjoys homage paid to him. So the idea is that the senior monk hasn't really learned very well, but although he is senior, and what happens is that the other monks are have to be very deferential and to pay. What do you say? Pay homage to the senior monk. So then, when the monk received this kind of respect, he was very happy.
No, Tadi Wamad Karasido Sena, then gave to the Shandalia, Cheba Shuk Chambuchana, and the Keta Chambuyungure, or Tagba Chambutogu, gave the best Chamburesia. Or the end of the years ago, Cheba Taguchando. Cheba Tagucheba, the rigor is Sigdua, Kesila Cheba Tagucheba, the rigor is Garsana, Cheba Taguchanga Gaboteliane, get a Chambuyungres water. Oh, the Majani, get a Humares water. Oh, Cheba Taguchalane, Taguches to be Cheba Taguchalane, Kawariso, Shenati Rigmares Yegdua.
So here, the assertion in the next verse is. Since a king whose punishments are mild does not become famous, while one who punishes harshly is famous even after his death, it is appropriate to give harsh punishment. So then the answer to this is that it's not appropriate to give harsh punishment. Well,
oh yeah. Tade kebo shiwari gyurba la ya trakbe yonde gamen kyo yon meda titsela Tagba Chimbo, Chidi Mese. Shive Chiso Tagba Tene Yondangi, Kabangashi, Tobachuna, Tada Riganse, Shive Chilko, Tungemato Yatoyaki, Omara Tagwade. Oh, Gabu Shiva Gurbala Tagbe, Tiban Jomba Soji, Yondangaya Yova Marese. Oh, De Indico, Tagba Chimbo Toba Dege, and Kasura. Kawachima Pangela, New Grimado, Pengi Mare. Right. So
then, though a king is famous after his death, it will bring no benefit. Do you, being worthless, and those who cook dogs not have notoriety? So then the idea here is that there's no way that becoming famous is going to somehow help you in the future life. In fact, it will harm your future life.
No, dependera chubi bomushive ro zorba chimbe chi jimba tone bomushe shi daja dedabe de desiora tongba chubu chi bomushi insara shi du da ro to ki ne mekanga be karsure da taje buche je ti au Tende Konzube Chawachigdo Samje, Naishina Tende Chigri Sam Guba Indira, oh, Tenemo Moramora Shivere, Getam Shivere, Nam Tinyam do Rokicha, Chawachigri Samje, or didn't I share his order?
So then the idea is here of another foolish person here. It's because thinking that somehow fame is going to be of benefit to you is a foolish thing. So here we have a rich man's body being given an expensive cremation, and another another woman thought, I will be rich too, and killed herself. Or did I say which? It's a rich woman's body, being given an expensive cremation. Another woman thought, I will be rich too, and killed herself. She thought, well, if she jumped in with the person who was going in this cremation, if she included her body, then she thought, oh, that would be good for me. So it's the same idea for a king who performs ill deeds for the sake of fame is like this. Wow.
Tekbe kagwa nga gebe rigi samne tekba chetin dig mare se o geri samje tekba kagwa se nga gebe sege tekba nga gebe se yin samje tekba dig mare gebe rigi samne tekba dig mare kigu chongwe leji geri su gyurwa kawa mesu kanga kyongwe suza gebe sigi wari so ti donze sumgo ne shekdo ta donze dambu dere o tilap dale.
So here we're refuting it's beginning a section called Refuting Arrogance because of Caste, and the first verse of this particular section is 95, refuting arrogance because of being a king's son or prince.
Kebu se ji tikwa nga dine rikdan tenpe kebu se yin sam rwa ane kebu ki chawa te nga che tuku re shenda ke che tuku ma re sam che wu ku ma re sam ne tikwa rik su she na o di kebu se yin be shane tikwa rik ma re se kdwa.
So the assertion is a prince of royal caste is fit to rule while others are not. Therefore, pride is appropriate. I guess the idea here is that they're thinking that pride is appropriate because this person is going to be the king. So then the prince should be proud. But then the answer is it is not appropriate. So.
Oh yeah, Kanze kungi wangju nye sikdwa. Kanze kungi wangju nye sunam ji ji te ses. O kange se kungi mi kungi ane kya bola soba wa tende che le saba yena. Ane kanga tende che tuba chi re se. Kira janja ma re sikwa. Wangju nye sunam ji ji te ses. Dine wangju ten me she cheba nyeba ma yeno se. Tene karsuren dine wangju ten me she se. Dene kewa namya wangju la tenpa mendo so darenga kebu imbashindo kebu chema kebu chigrisam shanda tu kebu gyurge mare sam tende mare shanda tu kebu gyursigris gora o she chebe ane kera nga kebu se nga do shanda kebu chetu marsam tekba rig mare sungdo Some gelece kanga tumu var chetu gres suyine chetsibra.
So the verse reads, when all power and wealth are produced by merit, it cannot be said that this one will not be a basis for power and wealth. So the idea here is that wealth and power come from one's merit. And so then for a prince to say, well, I'm going to become king, it really is dependent upon his merit. So if it's possible to say that somebody else who wealth and power is really shared, is in common with all. So it's possible that somebody could then become king instead of this prince. So there's never any. It can't. There's no reason to be proud in that case. Wow.
Tekba Miriba Shino, Solovia, Yunde Changya, Kanga, Timuare, Su Changna, Chang Samnati, Changbana, Yunde, Demba Riguare. What did I shiko? Kiranja Mari, Kiva Takbarishi, Kivache de Mar Mission that to Zoko, Sunam Samne, Kiva Mambu, Jurisimbari, Mambana Jurgis, Yara.
So it is like a craft which belongs equally to all who learn it. So power and wealth are like that. It's something that, you are not necessarily going to wield power and wealth. There's many people that are in the past and who have become kings, and there'll be many people like that in the future.
Oh yeah. Tandere da niba geri samge gebe rigi ba samge tekba jewa rigi mare setel tonje ni do. Thoma me ba ne rig so so ngeba tangbu rig ke ngeba ke yo mare kanga jekba re. Ane jema ane lega cher jimda je ming khaga ta ji te cherwa. Rig shi yebe ngoni ji geri so ngeba ba rig shi yebe yena ko tanda gebu re se to so ngone ke gebu yebe ngeba ke yo mare cher gebu ri be ngeba yo mare sni shek do. No.
So then, this next section, starting with verse 96, is refuting arrogance merely because of being of royal caste. And the first one, there have not always been distinct castes. And basically, what's being asserted in this section is that there's no certainty to. Because you are in a caste, then that you will be king, you will wield the power.
Oh, that is it. Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Geri Konal Yormado, Rishanda Sumbudil Yomarese. This was a Geri in Beshane, and a Geshe Yeshe Rigichane Tekba Rigresna, oh, my Rigichana, the Tombo in something I guess you are regression, Rigmare Shagdo.
So here, the assertion is, since the practice of kingship is only explained to those of the royal caste, but not to the other three, thus the royal caste alone should rule. Pride because of caste is appropriate. And the answer, no, it's just not, there's no certainty about caste, so the answer follows.
Oh yeah, that delia contribute Kashigi. Moni Rixos and Yaba Mares, Korangshinji, Tambune reading the Yabaka Maresura. Gaba Tambu made them judications that day, the Chunashichan, Gaba Tambu Jigneshan, the Tambu Medozo, Naya Mares, Amangana Mares, Juji Resiora.
Oh, Zuki,
Karesaneko, Amayana, Amajanibe, Toba Mavadura, Tambu Zambuli Shadu Cosim. Judy can change your Jema Pamache Jera. Judy Resiora. Judy Geshe Yele Juma, Rangi, Lutos Yabo, Pomodan Jig, Kala Ragba Samba going today, you say, oh, Taneka said, so Pomio Buddha Tower. Do you concentrate science of the she got to any teacher? Pomio Wambo to the Shinja children, Kangbaja, the Tending got to the share, she or a loss. Oh, didn't she say, do you rimgi come to sell a sugar society sugar? And they put on Mo Wamboda, Jebish, Eve Todeban, Gurde, Nene gave Ginejo and Nishine, Nene gave said, Pama Yuba said, the Shinejo.
So, it seems that this verse will need a lot of commentary. So here, in the world, caste is determined with regard to the main means of livelihood. Thus, there is no division among all sentient beings by way of caste. So you have to understand that caste, what's being asserted here is that caste doesn't somehow exist from its own side, it doesn't have some kind of self-existence. For instance, in the very beginning, it said that human beings were born miraculously, and they had unusual powers and so forth, and they lived on the food of joy and did not have male or female sexual organs. Later, as they began to eat coarse food, they gradually developed different shapes, determined by their male and female organs, and birth from the womb occurred.
Oh, then they call Song Jang, I say, Sayatu, such a Jabu Tabuja, that she does go to Buddhist. Anyway, there's a Ganga Chiki Kumaku and go to do, because she does one. And they meet Tagachilia, Kerang and Zute Tato Chisho, and then Azu Keralia, Tendota, Tindicane, larger in the Tiggins, Lavare. Oh, they love the Eneco, Gabri, oh, Nature was Labza. Dagadness and Jaya in a Gadur, Coquel and all Gasha was a Denico, Galus, Galoa, Serge, Galbos, Mingtades,
Galvas and a day.
Galu Vijay, Gadur, Serge Lagua, so Galoas, Coquel and the Cabbage on Becashmendo, Galbos, Vijay Sigura, Jagatops, say. Oh, that you.
So then because they were accumulating food and hoarding food, then stealing and so forth began. And like we had previously, then they need to hire somebody or appoint it. And so they ended in having a king to protect the community and giving the king a sixth of the crops and so forth. And so then those people who did this kind of work were of the royal caste, and here Gelbo, I think, king, to call somebody king, maybe, I guess it would be Raja, I think, and then did it's a kind of expression of, what do you say, just, you're really pleased to say, oh, the king, something like that. And it came from this kind of exclamation of pleasure, or of happiness to see somebody. So then they made that, into the name for this person. Wow.
Sem duje chi komda kyapche chi che den de bata ka du che che kale kyapche ne tuba nyamle che alia chongba yosane pa naksib na chi ne embo den del teje samlu tangge ri te zule tamse re sig do tamse re sig do yi chi chogba te la tamse ta che kebe ka shi 제발라 다 개보스 단데 랍사르바 개비 리디 랍사르바 아니 개비 까신 콜레가 징게 럼보다 개비 야위 레가 징게 두들 지으리스체 아니 싱가 모게다 한국 송게다 아부장게 두즈 단들이야 아니 망리스 랍기와 레샤라 신모알라 소바 데네 랭게 바칼레 요바 두들 징게 두들이야 아니 망리스 제 딱바리스 거라
So then it explains how all the castes came about. One, we've already had the royal caste, and then the Brahmins then were people who would stay in the, who were involved in, what do you say, subduing the senses, and so they would stay in the forests and meditate and think a lot and so forth, and they performed various ascetic practices there, and so they were called Brahmins. And then then there was a official caste where they would be serving the king, and then those who were like working in menial tasks in the field and planting crops and so forth and taking care of animals, they were the common caste.
This way. That's so a tummy, Chola Yansa, go to up, so message lega de Gorva, Kashe Shingadab, Kashe Kambaja, Kashe, Kevi Lumbuche, Kashe Mamisha, Tendisha Yora. There's that so a tub, so near. So a tub so chok balaya. Then I reaching yes, any country reaching Tasha, they say. Padoching get like a bullshit, Tinyam Legaching a Mabanati, Mada, Chitin, Chingedula, and they done the car so there. Chiri, Sarah, or the so legage and the Mingda, but yes, you are. Given the Neko Rigmenta to make a Yoma, the legage and I said the Mingda, this order. chola yanjik dena ne rishi nyes tanye tangbares tena simje tamje la rigle yewa yoma ye simje kangal tangbu ne ngoni je jebe rigda ji rito adama wada se keje yewa yoma resar.
So then if we look at the verse then in the world caste is determined with regard to the main means of livelihood, so it's really a convention given to those who perform certain tasks, and then so thus there is no division among all sentient beings by way of caste. Means that from the very start there's no way to say that this person is of such and such a caste, right? Well.
This way. Oh yeah. So yeah, tamne sholoka lapsarbe. Oh yeah. Tapena chumen rawa chebe bumba shino sigdwa. Oh pena ngajo bumba saba dinde mangbo se. Ade kashe nalia tangzilu kashe nalo omalo kashe nalo chini lu dinde chebe yana. Ako tete dis ming tamado chilo ko tangbu tele kya ke yo maro bumba kanga saba serwa ne chikbarwa. Adena lega sinemedo chilu menda chane tangzi pumba chi chini pumba che tinde lega na shire mado tangbu ne kya ke yo mare sigara.
So then so the example here illustrates what's being said, that there are these pots that are all cast and made out of the same material. They're totally identical, clay pots, and then in each one different things were put in each one, and so then they got the name butter pot, honey pot, and so forth.
Oh yeah, this one that. Derigi unit so much abalaya. Chu member tikba yo mare so de mandi bure se kebe unit so chen tikba mena ni shandage tinge le kuma kunge to so chen tikba me bure stal rosa.
So thus it's very wrong to accept statements in treatises by sages that say even if a king uses violence, it is what do you say, not irreligious. So that went on. This is talking about something that we already covered before as well.
Yomares gora rangshingi kerising ngeba ke yomare tanda legation de tawarese so dilia dishek do wode.
Then there's a feeling then that somehow the caste and the members of the caste somehow just are innately or inherently that way, something about them, and so then to refute this is the next verse refutes this, that since there are 4 castes of royal caste existent by way of its own entity is not ascertained.
Oh yeah, that didn't my shake the one culture. De shologade. De do shindu rewa da sido. Riki keje chune cheje ne betanda bado yering bushidan rosa resigora. De do shindu rewa da. Mimo namji mimo nam yoda. Epe me da kebala soba tezoke yoare tendeke yo mare. Kebu nyamdo yona shanda nyamdo de sire kebu yena peme shanda nyamdo dewache sigrwa. Cheza me da keba namji yidi temboke yo mare meda dewache gresigora. Dijiri geri shejawa rile gaya yo maese. O teacher ne kebu risewachi ene rigle sosor Nebachen Gaya Yoba Mahimbe, Rigugi, Nagesha, Tendeke Yomaresore, Tanda Geri, Singer Geri, in a Karina Hague Yomaresore.
So then, apparently, we'll read the verse, apparently, the 4 castes of royal caste exist by way of its own entity is not ascertained. So then, to refute this is since there are 4 castes of royal caste existent by way of its own entity is not ascertained. So then well, it's been a long time since the caste system was first established. So, since it was very long ago, and women's and men's minds are fickle, there is no one from the caste known as the royal caste. There's no certainty as to, because kings went with other wives and so forth, and queens did the same. So there's no way that you can determine that one person is certain to be of one of the royal caste. No.
Oh, that better it was. Oh, pena kajiki tramsi kimdo sergi chilu tam tu rimbushine wonwe tagbo yang tuma peshe chilu yang mendawa jobashinus. That better sigwa. Tramsi chiyo imbara. Tramsi to pujache da chiche chura lusage pumba chunju dinde yungudwa. Chilu sigwa riba chulu sage pumba chunju dinde.
Bugu chunju?
Pumba, chulu sa dinde sundu. Kunzu chiyaji yuwara. Oh, dinde chiko seri chimbara, seri chiyuwara. Oh, diko chongba chiliya, tramsi shanda chiliya, gebi riyina chili choyaji shabara. Oh, di choyani, niko tarungbu chili chimbara. Chima yungde za, niko chulabde za, niko nge deliya gebi rik deli chi choyasha yuwase. Chala choyasha yuwase. Oh, Kuranda deyo marse. Chongba de cheba jabja ko tramsi ri shanda chi ri ri dewa re. Oh, chala ser chida mendo de ngugi chi duus la re. Oh ya se o da de ri se. Ta charan de nya de ase ya ko ta ring bun dra mere. Tramsi de shi re. Chema yonde za ko nge de du de ya chongba de cheba jab sar kang ba ma do. Ri shanda chi le sar. On de tramsi shungge chi de. Oh, tramsi de yo ma re nga zo chi ri yin se chi mere. Nge de le chala chi choyasha yuwase. Oh, chala ngugi chi yu. Ngugi chi da toma sonse sangye chala chi duus labre. Oh, dine ya da de nya de asya chimbare. De chema du de ko chu yonde rima dinde chi lepte ware. Chebi jab sare. Oh, nge de yus de oh de yindo de sangye da mare cha ge bumba chi du de res labre. Oh, dine shi ko chongba de miye chen du yore ko chala chen du ro. O dina shin ge rig du zo ko cheba jam du ngeba ke yo mare sig do.
So then the story is of someone who I mean, this is the, what do we call it, the example, the illustration. Someone left a gold water pot in I guess it's some little pot like that to keep water. Then, or a bowl even, a gold water pot in a Brahmin household for safekeeping. After a long time, he went off then he thought, oh, did I leave something? Oh yeah, and I left. So he went back and asked where he wanted to get that gold water pot again. So he returned and asked whether a member of the Brahmin family was at home. He was told that there was no Brahmin family living in the house, but only a royal caste. So then the man asked about the gold pot and that the Brahmins had been left in care of. And then he said, "There's no gold pot, but there is a silver one." And so he asked them, "Well, can you take care of that one for me?" And then they said, "Okay." And so then he went out for a long time again, then returned only again to find inhabitants of the house now belonged to the official caste, and that they were keeping a copper pot. So he asked them, "Okay, take care of that for me." And then on another occasion, he went there and he found a family of common caste, and the pot was now an iron one. So then the idea is that castes just change, like the pot and the family.
Oh, that really ngeba ke yo mare. Oh, dene tanda chala da chongba cheba na shi res yora.
Yeah, so it's just like the illustration, just like what the verse is saying. There's the castes change from one one generation to the next. It's like the pot and the family.
No, bena konju tamse kasure keba se to tamse keba se lingi se parmani bere tamse ri bere chigero koranse tamse ri
na
tanda le ri shi labge bangani
na
odi tamse ri
na
disa hale savare
carry on
o tamse ri chi tamse lingi singe che tamse kyawa lingi se lingi ora linga lingi na keba Ming,
lingi,
mare linga tangi.
Oh, they Ming there.
Lingi sort of the user, cussing on what can I? So linked in the Yora, Suche, Pajo Ling Yorba, the day Suling Sigdua, Chikilia, Tostos, the sergeant in the Yora. Oh, Tindelia, Nyasum get in the Yoimbara. Nyasum gave Pomuchi Likevres or Tamsi Lingis and get it. You know, Nyasum get it Rigma, you know, contribute Tamsi Rius Chechako. Somebabo nyanga the Kavachi Sigdua. Or dinner she is at what? Tamsi Lingi she is.
Tamsi Lingi Sigura.
Tamsi Jawa said Mingi Lingis the Mingra. Mingre, Shakemare. The Tamsi Sigur, Konzu Kavachi or the Nyaba Nyasum gave Pomochi Lieutenant Kevare Sigura. Like Rigma. In a Kotamsi in Bevon to Tangdua. Then they gave a
So it's a. Gemma was telling me the origin of this name Brahmin. It seems to have come from there was a woman staying on an island in the kind of some kind of lake or something, maybe in kind of a big body of water, and there are other islands around. But she was somebody who would catch fish and sell them and so forth, but the name of the island was so she was of the common caste. Really. Oh, Linke sen är myr Linka sen är det ling trend
Linga le kebere linga na nyasim be imbarwa ane pomode le kesa lingis la vengira mingdara ta chewa yamar isho
I don't know these words, so I'm having a little trouble.
Tamse chi imbache mingle tamse yore ko tamse somba bo keba chiri ina kesa de nyabe bomuche le kebere sigora cheza ko tamse res na tamse imbe ngeba medwa sigora ta digre
it's somebody. Buma they keberwa.
Ore pomote nyabe pomorwa nyasum ge. Tele keberwa ina ko tamse tan tangiora. Ko tamse re yo mare so nyabe pomoli kebere so.
So that's sorry that now I got it. Ken was saying that so this woman, fisherwoman, then she had a son, and it was the son that was given this name. She was actually from the common caste, a fisherwoman, but her son was somehow given this name of. It was the beginning of Brahmin, so then he was given this name Brahmin. So then this just shows how the caste is not certain, because she was from a lower caste and he was from some which is now considered some higher caste. So it's just sort of like a becoming known as, just something that was they just called it this name Brahmin, right? Not something by its very nature. So then the Dosha. Oh yeah. So time is running short, like we have a few minutes, so we'll have to just go through these rather quickly.
Among the leg, you want to say, leg, you want to Rishagurisana, Lumbal Tato Chingela, Geris, and it the lega chingation, Geris Shabin, and it Jaboge, Shingatap Chogre, Mishingbage, and Castle Legation, the Magbin Chogre, and they go never never Kangage, Jerry, Mangritige, Gabi, Lumbo Tendeta, Mammy Chesson, and go. Cherry Redurvasiora. I get the leg Mangri, Jerry, Legacy, the leg one can say Led Marda, Legacy one can score, Chave Wange. I get the leg Mangri, Jerry, Shesher Junani, leg Manga Tramsene, Kangi Jura, member Simse, and the Tramsi Rigma Chig, Chusha, the Tramsi Legacy, and the Tramsi Redurvasiora.
So then the point being made here to remember is that the caste is then really given by the activities of the people that are within them, what work they do, and so then, you know, if they're of the official caste, then they'd be working as you know, what do you say, generals of the army and so forth, and so then it's not really by their some kind of destiny or something. It's just by what they do.
Oh, that day one of the conscious, Kebu Dila won't you that say Kebuge, and it took a Mambosa and it you chamber that in the Chavi or Rechera. And it they go to the mission that Mambogo long check your resera. Oh, Mayina. Shangy Dundu Cabane, Sushi Chimar Jumbaji, Shangy Dunda, Code the Basa, the Koran Sabre, Longe, the Shanda Mambo long check at the end, Shangy Dundu, the Basange, the Cabaret, Sushi said the Sigma Residua. No. To do them.
Okay, then, so that's what this means. It's the meaning of this one verse 98. If even one of common caste through his work could become royal caste, one might wonder why even a commoner should not become Brahmin through his work. And then this next verse is, a king's ill deed cannot be distributed like his wealth. What wise person even ever destroys their future for another's sake? So, so then if the king has to perform a lot of ill deeds in order to get his wealth or maintain his wealth, then what wise, you know, somebody who has any intelligence, then why would they then you know, want to on account of something trivial do something what do you say, ruin their lives on account of something trivial?
Oh, yeah, don't do that. Then Mahe said, the Chujin Chingeshura, Mahe to say, Chabapigdo, Hindu. Oh, then they can get the call, Sanged the Chiga Segre, and Sanged the Kangamambu Sagre, Tiba the Sanged the Yunguresigora. Oh, didn't she give a Kiran Tiba Yunguresigora?
So the example is that when a buffalo is killed, though many eat this sacrificial offering, the ill deed accrues to the killer alone. So it's so the king is the one who's going to get all the what do you say, effects of his ill deeds.
Oh yeah, that been a Gebu Lomba Chamber Chariba Gaba Gebu Deninga. And it won't you chamber in some Chala chamber in some Najecheris, Najecher, Rigma Residua. They got us, won't you give Najene, Nyamda Kebar, Pagbaye, Paru Nunde, Tajade, Tambe Ningla, Minesos, Kesila Sobe, won't you give and a Danish and a Putu in some be, Chimba Wanyam Najecha Rigma Rese. Arsene, round the won't you Nyamba, the Rale, She Kebardo Pagba. Paru and Dembe, Wanju, Pinzo, Towerje, Koran Lagba, your race water. The Dachena, Sulu Legbar, Toshebe, Tamba de la, ngaje mine so hode ngaje chari marisdo tradition.
Right. So here, the assertion for the final verse is, since one lives with great power and wealth, pride is appropriate. So the verse states, pride caused by power and wealth does not remain in the hearts of the wise. Once one has looked at others with equal or superior power. So then the person who has power and wealth then just thinks of themselves as better than others, has great pride, and then so then if you look at kings or somebody else who has more power, then that would reduce your pride.
Oh yeah, that did it. The pedalaga, pena, Tramse, no zingi chuma, sugi jene. ngaje kebe tsumi kordu chune adere jamse nonje sengade kimesho embarwa ade mo nga be yabo jebu yakshu tinde yin kerangi ti tuglo da chi nga genje ta ya do yabo chi me do lagyo tak barish ane ko ti cheche kebe tsumi jang ya chuba cheche kebe tsumi jang sha de ma kebe tsumi jang ni bin sha yora o de sha de mo ha le yabo do senge suchi ma jung re ate ma ju de mo nga je shin ho nga tinde ra member da samje nga je shi wana shi de sigo.
So the example is of the Brahmin Vasudhara's wife, who was very proud of her body, and she was always asking her husband to buy her, good jewelry and good clothes, and he wasn't able to do it. So he said, "Well, I think it's better if you just go and stay with the king." So then she went and became part of the king's retinue, and then when she saw all these other queens and how beautiful and well dressed and so forth that they were, her pride came down.
Oh yeah, that did all that. Lu di mida samjeshi lu da chakshin so chesade ne keba bemela so lu le chagi za de chan mi san shege ordo lu di mida bodon mizan ba samje ne lu la sebe nyeba sheje de lu le ya chakshin shukshin bu che de gyare sha sam ha ko wa she ne ne la me chang ju tu la zhen sha she ten zu ji bu long go ma go wa she tarbada sanje ko ba to wala chambure se da ge te ba pang bar chas na ke bol char ma do ngara zu kangal ya na samsada nge samsada te ba da nga je de zu kanga yo ro ba chi ju ma do chi pang go tang bu ka ge menge chen na ko nga je yo de chi nga da nga samsa shinja yo ro ba o den de shinja chung tang go de sung do o chasa de ke bol ya char ma do.
So we've been talking about a king, right? But all of us have this pride of I and mine, and in various degrees. So then, thinking about the impermanence and uncleanness of the body, understand the faults of attachment to it, reduce your attachment in such a way. Then make effort to achieve unsurpassable enlightenment and give up pride in both I and mine.
Oh yeah, I do want to Kangasare, Namjune, de Karsure, Mashi Shula to the Kangade, Lojumang, which is King Daughter, you Kashe, Sabato Kokase, you are after Kokabore, or Yena Koyane and Samlutan Tebachenko, Koacher Durdo, or the Namjuneko, Dina Shevanation Bedabada, Tungiawada, and Misawa. La soba shinja tatame bala soba o dizulia rangi kumje resha sam kumji cheche ko samlutana ale ko yar dura.
So all of us assembled here, some of us maybe have understood what I have been teaching well, and some of us maybe are newer and therefore didn't understand it as well. But you should think of, regardless of what level of understanding you have, you should think of these both impermanence and impermanence, suffering, uncleanness, and selflessness as very suitable topics of meditation, and then think a lot about them.
Oh yeah, Kaburi de Yangazu pay Yabuchin Yanja, Galacap, and it to a Yabuti song, or the Induzako Kevasang Buchon song, or Kangaria, Jesuira.
So then all of you have listened well and taken on the hardship of the schedule and so forth, and sat here very well, and so then I admire what you have done here. It's very good. Wow.
No, Teneko Karsore. Oh, Dante Tatinange Sore, Chula, Comedy, Kentubushi Chula. Oh, Dinashi Chalenanga Samage, the Tapsinaji Tinane, Kumbakayare, Tezu, Chale Lepsham Shidanagdua, oh, Tezukangalia, Jesuira years.
And also the abbess here is making great effort, and all the other Anis working with her have made, everybody is working hard to improve this place, and you're doing a wonderful job. I also admire what you have done and are doing.
Oh, Penapurndajinako Chula Jengeda Rabdujunge Mambura. Lumba de Nala Telatabo Kanga Nedan Tabayana Rabduchun Tindete said the Pe Kabura. Oyenet in the Shu de Pe Sunam Chimbuda, Kawalap Chimbura. Sanje Tamba, Sanje Pebe Captilico, Sutim Yonzo Sungeshita, Sanjing Metulia, Nagari Sungetichana, Tipan Share Sungudwa, what do you do Kawalap Chimbuda? You do Chane Shida Sagi Ordo. Oh.
And also just to become a renunciate, a monastic, and this present environment is very admirable, and and first of all, in this country where everybody is very busy and constantly distracted at doing what they're doing, and to have the thought to step out of that life and pursue a virtuous path, and then the Buddha said that it's very as time degenerates, it's for somebody to do one slight virtue at this time when things have degenerated, then it is what do you say? Very effective, a very effective virtue. So I admire what you have done. Wow.
Oh, the Indukasure, Chida, Nangbe, that ambition is in the Sanje Shudi, Sabuda Pekachambura. Oh, the Induzako, Nezikoran de Lutange, Rabduchuni, and it Tikanja to the Lerachangangi, Kindungi Techmana. Tambako using Bunzin to be at the Kaburi de Ora. Then I painted Chashana, Rabjumangure, oh, then they go Lobjo Chenge or Machine or the inner Lobjo Chengeso, Mangu, but you could drink it under Badako, Namajagal Taris, Chukanga Mania Bache, Zin to a net of it. Oh, this all just can do it this manner. And it should be so best Sabu, Yatu at the Pekabura. Chuchujin and Yatu put it, Sabah Kashim Mangulo to share. What he in the pay can do it there, Kashim Bushidari.
So in Tibet we had a lot of monastics, and the purpose of becoming a monastic is because the Buddhist teaching is so vast and so profound that you have to have a lifestyle that then is conducive to spending time to really, what do you say, analyze and investigate and think about these teachings, and so then it's very good that you have chosen this, because without the monastic community to spend the time like this, and just where people are spending a little time here and there to study the teachings, then the teaching won't be able to survive.
Oh, this was like a duty. Oh, Rapsum Pomakarina. Oh, Dico Yawu Cheche. Nana. ane sanje temba neya da zimba da peya la soba tende pe keba chimbo yordo o ti sonja pe ke chimbo o tende to le chale nange changma o be sunam chimbo o da so la bu chi so do o ti sonja chi su ran ye.
So then to give up your, what do you say, worldly lives, and to then spend your time as a nun. This is very admirable. It will because it's helpful to the Dharma, and also so helpful, and the Dharma is so helpful to others. Then it's really admirable what you've done, what you are doing. Wow.
Oh, the ko rabjung te su chu so rang ge ani shandal she de pe ke chim bure do. Kimbazu na le ko nang be chu ge ko do yoga da shinge ke ba mang bu so ge de pe ke chim bure. Ga de sena nge ma jaga le da nang be chu gang no ba de garje no ba se de so komba so na len jin ba ma do kimbale shira ani chi pe lo chu che ne shuk chim bu me ba ti ken she she ani ka chi do so yong ne komba do tor cha de nangma de page me de se do. O hindu do ze ne ya ko rabjung de yo rabjung member to shuk cherry do chu che da tende benti to so tende chane ko kaje ti chane no ma to le de resik do tende ko rabjung de zon zinge de zinge de ba che tende penge de kimbal pe de vacation be ser do. Oh yeah.
So it's good that you take your vows and work at being a renunciate, but then also to teach is a wonderful, teach others who are householders or not renunciates, laypersons we can say, then that's excellent, because in Tibet we had a great monastic. Oh, Kagata.
Kajima Jamne Seda. Kajima Jamne Nangba Ganga, Dezu Ganga, Hagan to the Torchera. Oh, the Hindu to the maps, number maps or a tissue.
Oh, no.
You love you.
No, Kacheda. No. But,
Musulman Sigda.
No, so sorry, this is in more in India. And then, so in India, then what happened to the monastic communities when there was a Muslim invasion was that because everything was sort of concentrated in the monasteries, and they hadn't become involved in teaching the lay people. So then their teachings disappeared very quickly because of not having this kind of not spreading it to the lay communities. So working here to teach the lay communities is very important and very admirable.
Hindu to Hindu to Kimbenal Mambo. Anyway,
the point I was trying to make that the translator's having trouble with is that the Hindu community did in fact teach the lay people, and so then Hinduism was able to survive this invasion, but the under the Buddhists didn't. They were more concentrated in like for the great monastery of Nalanda. That the Buddhist tradition just disappeared from India, and so then this is really based on teaching or not teaching the lay community.
Oh yeah, that this is a
now we're really sort of run out of time, but anyway, to say something.
Oh, Sanje Shingam Chu Ganga, because the Thai Jamju Chime Changda Nyambe, Jidenji Kamria, Rembushin, not doing it, Kani 2000 Chibachena, Sunum Kazisagres on Donal. I'd say about it down over this. Teleja, Shiraji Paru Chimbe, loss of the church to that Chologa Chick, Mila Shebada, Nyambada, Samlatadi, Penche, Yuswate. Karias in the Chidi Longe, Pisum Sobato, Chidi, Tarva, the Tamjimba, Sanji, Komato, Kulundu, Tishane, Penchembutation to pay, what is the Sunam, Mitoya Mava Mato, Lopchembusa, or this.
So then we have to think that we've collected a huge amount of very effective virtue, and it's said that if you filled the universe with wonderful jewels and beautiful offerings and made these offerings to the Buddha, it wouldn't equal even a small portion of explaining and thinking about and teaching and listening. What do you say? Studying the one verse of the teaching. Say, for instance, the perfection of wisdom, for example. And so then the reason that being that this making offerings, then the effect is that you're going to get great resources in your next lifetime. But the studying of one verse and the teaching of one verse then is something that's going to bring about in the future liberation and omniscience. So it's much greater in that sense. Wow.
No, yeah, they do so, but the Tandanga Molam Gabdiza, or the net Sanjay Temba Zengenge, Tower Michela Soga, the net Tenzi Kibutamba Kavashin Kusi Temba, Jidan Kamla, Neda, Mokita Matula Soga, Shidi Yoya. Oh, the net de Combadi, on the Cheshi Nashi, on the Tosim Nashi, Kari Cheshi, Nashi, Nuvala Parja Mevada, Sanjay Tembala Pantoyege. Combai Yabuchi can do the Yabuchi to Malam. Only Kedabi Kesa Sangmatam Jede, Tarnara Simjetamje, Sanjay Yukova Toya Chedo, Moana Ronas, or Yabuchi some.
So then please make good prayers that the great gurus of the tradition have long life, and that the teachings stay a long time, and that the activities of this Abbey increase and are successful into the future, and for the sake of obtaining enlightenment in the future. Wow.